Hey folks, so welcome to our module on operating system structures. So before we get started into the main content, I kind of want to give you guys an idea of where we're going. So our overall goal is this, right? Before we kind of get into the nitty-gritty of technical operating system stuff, I want to spend a little bit of time to discuss kind of the high-level features of operating systems, as well as kind of the behind-the-scenes design that's required to support them, okay? So we're going to actually kind of look at three different things in this module. The first is basically going to be what high-level features does an operating system need? And so we're actually talk a little bit about interfaces. We're going to talk a little bit about like system utilities. Basically, what is it that we really need to provide to the user for an operating system to be useful, right? A lot of it will be kind of management things, right? And we'll actually go kind of more in detail later, right, into maybe the system resource level allocation stuff. That'll be kind of a separate topic. But first of all, what we want to talk about is what are the kind of the basics, right? The very basic tools that someone needs to be kind of productive in an operating system. So we'll start out with talking about those, right? The high-level features. Second thing we're going to talk about is basically this idea of how maybe an operating system can enable a user's piece of software to do things, right, that are maybe low level or hardware related, right? So we're going to introduce the idea of a system call. So a system call basically is you can picture, right, you're calling functions in your program. Some of the functions you're going to be calling are actually things that the operating system provides, right? We'll call that a system call. So that's kind of our implementation of those high-level features, right? So we have high-level features, right? A user needs to do things like, see what files are on the machine. Well, in order for me to write a piece of software that can do that, I need to have the operating system have an ability, right, to tell me, oh, these are the files on your disk, right? So it's kind of a linkage there, right? We have high-level features we need to support. Underneath that, we have this idea of system calls, which are low-level kind of C calls, right, that your operating system supports, right, to provide maybe information to a program so that it can do useful things, right? So those are kind of linked together. So we're going to start by talking about that, and then afterwards we're going to have a discussion basically on operating system design, right? So we kind of know, oh, these are the features that the user wants. These are the little bits of functionality that the operating system needs to provide for the user to do those things. Well, then the question is, how do we build a system, right, that can support those features, right? Because what we're looking at right now is this idea of an operating system, right? Keyword there is system, right? So I don't just have, one big, library, one big monolithic program, right? The idea is I have some sort of a complex system which has many features, many pieces of functionality. How can I put those together in a way that makes sense, right? The way that maybe is advantageous, right? And when I say advantageous, I can mean different things. It can mean good for security purposes. It could mean for good for performance. I need to basically pick, what do I want to be good at, right? And so for that discussion, we'll introduce this idea of operating system structures, or maybe what we'd say is, designs, right? So I have an operating system that has these requirements. What are the different kind of overall high-level designs I can use to structure my system in order to provide that functionality? So that'll be kind of our third piece here, right? So these are the three things we're going to be looking at, right? We're going to be focusing on kind of in these following videos. And again, right, so our overall goal here, right, you can kind of keep this in mind as you go through this material, right, is we want to have that high-level understanding, right, of those top-level features, right, as well as how we can kind of support them, right? How does the OS support what the user wants, right? And that kind of has the two views of one being, what little calls do I need to make available, and then how do I build a system, right, that can maybe hold the different components that provides support for those different calls, the different features that I want, right? So that's our goal in this video set, right, is basically to have that high-level understanding of what's in an OS and how to actually put it together.